I broke my back.
What do you mean by that?
My back is broken.
What do you mean, calm it down? It's a fight. Referees telling two fighters who want to fight to calm it down. He should calm down.
So he's like a clown in his show, man. He's not your guy.
Because Tyson Fury's back, and all you motherfuckers are under attack.
Look, Eddie Hearn can say all what he likes. Who gives a shit what Eddie Hearn says? It's garbage.
Are you off your tits? Have you been smoking something?
Can you let me retire and be happy? Please, just please.
Bombs away from the Bronx Bomber! Wanda! Let's go, baby! Let's go!
I'm through. They put somebody else up and give me an interview.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
You never give me a fair shake. HBO needs to fire you. You don't know shit about boxing. You ain't shit. You got shit.
I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass. I got dropped, man.
No, you won the fight.
OMG, I am so excited.
Yes. What is up, MCR family? Another daily edition, I should say nowadays with the quarantine and pandemic, weekly edition of the show, live on YouTube, obviously podcast form, iTunes, Spotify, radio, etc. I'm Matt, the Hipster Hunter. Going to be talking all things boxing. Joshua Pulev most likely not being in the UK and being pushed back. Deontay Wilder's team, I should say, Bob Arum confirming for Deontay Wilder's team that no step-aside amount has been requested, and they are not asking for that. We're going to dive back into that fun topic. Canelo Alvarez naming his hit list for the rest of the year when he fights in September and in December. Eddie Hearn with his plans for backyard boxing. And a lot to get into on today's show, guys. Stephen Lopez out there talking a lot of shit. Can't wait to dive back into the lightweight division and all those young guys and how much they're really making me proud. I'll be honest. They're talking a lot of greasy shit, and it's making me really happy as a fan of pettiness in the sport. But without further ado, let me get to my almost full panel on the show. Out in the UK, Mr. Robbie Hearns, second cousin, twice removed of Sir Eddie. Rob, how are you, man?
Yeah, not bad. Another day in the garden. Just cut the lawn, ready for the ring to be put in the back garden. All good. Good to be back. Talk some boxing. We're getting close to some action. So things are gonna get, these fake smiles are gonna turn into actual ones. We're gonna get some fights. Let's hope some of the matchups are gonna be a little better than what we are hearing. But let's not, let's get the sport back, and we'll be all right.
Wait, hold on. You're not excited for Jamel Herring and Jonathan Oquendo? That's not getting your bones going? That's not getting you excited?
A bit. Yeah, that's all right.
You don't have to lie. Fake smiles. We get it.
See Jamel Herring keep making that weight. That's what I want to see. Put his body through that. And Carl Frampton, when we've got a crowd, can become a whatever weight world champion. I forget how many now. 3? Would it be 3? 2?
Did he ever win about 122? I don't think he did.
Oh, no. Anyway, but it'll be let him keep draining himself repeatedly. Anyway, Gary, how you doing?
Gary in Dallas. Gary, how are you, man?
Good. I'm excited to get into this lightweight action. Trash talk. Teofimo Lopez is going to be a star. He's got star written all over him. Star ability, star personality, star trash talks. The kid's the future of boxing.
Kid's the future of boxing. He is pretty hilarious.
Compete with a guy like a Hector Tanahara from a scope perspective.
Did Lopez suddenly move to Texas or something? What the fuck?
Oh my god. That's funny, man. We already got a Hector Tanahara reference since 4 minutes into the show. God fucking sake.
Want to get the basketball one out of the way quick, Gary? Or
baseball one?
Baseball one.
Oh yeah. Sport.
Ranger game is canceled today. No game today, guys.
Hockey's coming back. I saw someone say hockey's a bit announcement coming. So yeah,
I don't even watch it. That's how bad hockey is. Even if it's the only sport on, I still can't watch it.
They can keep it.
You
can have that one. We're good. Anyways, let's get.
Still won't be better than drone racing.
Okay, this is the only time I'm ever going to say it and direct this at you, Rob. Your obsession with drone racing. We got to talk about it, man. At some point, we have to have an intervention for you. That is the lamest fucking sport on the planet.
Nah.
Next to pro wrestling. Digressing though, just to trigger you a little bit.
At least it's competitive. And they're like X-Wings, man. They're like X-Wings. If they done TIE fighters as well, I'm in. I'm all in on live drone racing. I'm almost there anyway, but epic.
I was watching pro wrestling for probably 20 minutes. What day? Saturday, maybe? Saturday night? Whatever night it was on.
Oh God, why?
Because what the hell? There was nothing else to watch.
You can find something
on. It was on one of the major networks, Fox Sports or Fox.
Yeah, they have a Fox deal.
Yeah. And then whatever night that is, I had it on for a good 20 minutes. Like, whatever. Like, I don't understand why. Like, that has to be like the dark secret. Like, I watched pro wrestling for 20 minutes.
It's worse than golf.
No. Look. Okay.
No.
Good comparison because neither one of them are real sports. So that's a good comparison.
At least they don't decide who's going to win the golf before it starts.
That we know of.
Get out. I knew Tiger Woods' run was just a fake.
I'm sorry. That was too good.
Gary out here saying the Allman Brothers is the greatest band. I've watched wrestling.
No. We're not getting into that. We're not.
He's out here saying some crazy shit. Now he's watching wrestling. Oh, Gary, we can be fine.
The quarantine's obviously getting to us all now, as you can tell people.
They could lock us down for a decade. I am not watching pro wrestling.
Yeah. You know what? Like those. I think Vice is putting them on, like the Dark Side of the Ring documentary series. I've been wanting to watch those because they look really good, but I just don't care.
Is it about wrestling?
Yeah, but it looks really like well produced, and I do like documentaries that aren't necessarily about things that I love. You know, I can get interested about certain things, right? Like the Free Solo documentary. I don't give a fuck about rock climbing, but that was a cool documentary. What?
Boxing ones?
I love boxing documentaries. I bought the recent Duran one on YouTube. The one that came out 2017.
Just you said you like things that you don't even, you watch things that you don't even like.
Oh, shut up. I love boxing.
Like Honey Boo Boo. Did you ever watch Honey Boo Boo, Matt?
No, I did not. No.
Oh, that was awful, but it was like a train wreck. Like I watched it. Like it was so bad. But like, I don't know. Like I can't stop watching it. Kind of like professional wrestling. Like it's stupid.
I did watch Jersey Shore. I watched Jersey Shore. Jesus Christ. I didn't say it was good. I didn't say it was good television, Rob. I just said I watched it. Okay.
It's awful television, but like I can't.
Like people are watching this, right?
No, this is gold.
No, but what was that? What did I send a link to? What was it called? Ringside? What was it called? Showtime.
The show's Ringside. It was called. That looked pretty good.
Yeah. Following the career, was it 9 years in the making? They followed two up and coming. I think one looks like he does some prison time and stuff like that. But yeah, that looks good. I hope we get access to that. Probably won't, but
Showtime's been killing it when it comes to documentaries. I wonder, honestly, from like a corporate perspective, how their documentaries could be shown in the UK from a licensing perspective. But that's maybe a topic for another time.
I mean, look, Last Dance, obviously, what's that, ESPN over there? That's Netflix. Yeah. That's on Netflix in the UK, so I don't know whether something could be done like that. But yeah, I'd like to see it.
Speaking of professional wrestling, I totally forgot that during the NBA Finals, Dennis Rodman disappeared from the Chicago Bulls. Like, they couldn't find him. He wasn't at practice. And then he pops up on WCW Monday Nitro. I totally forgot about that. I'm like, oh, I remember this.
Legend. Dennis Rodman is the GOAT. Okay, we don't discuss it, but like Dennis Rodman is the GOAT. Just want to
he's the free spirit.
Oh man.
Well, I say that, but he's quite heavily linked to North Korea, so I don't quite know how free you are when you're.
He is like the perfect person for documentaries. He is all over the place in like the best ways possible.
You know where he's from, Matt?
Texas,
Dallas.
Yeah. Like anytime Gary says, "You know where he's from," it's always Texas. It's never like South Dakota or some bullshit like that, right?
I'm gonna say it about that one. Michael Jordan. You know where he's from? North Carolina.
I'll tell you where it's in the dark. When Gary says that, it's in somewhere in Texas,
and it's usually Dallas.
Yeah.
Anyways, guys, let's get to some.
Everyone's got their faults, right?
Get to some topics, guys. By the way, did you watch any of the UFC cards, guys? I know, Rob, you don't, but like there's something on. It's combat sports. I know I'm the only MMA fan amongst us three, but did you watch them, Gary? Did you pay attention to any of them? There's 3 cards this last week.
Was that Saturday night?
There's one Saturday night, there's one Wednesday, and there's one the previous Saturday.
I did not.
Yeah.
I was watching a lot of 90s basketball.
Gary, you should have got the first card because you would have been part of someone. You would have been someone who actually paid one of 700,000 that paid for a pay-per-view instead of being, but instead of being one of 45,000 or what you pay-per-views at.
Anyway, let's get to boxing, guys, because
I can see who was the two big guys. One knocked the other one out, and he put his arm around him and said,
Rob, thank you for at least like trying to like make me happy and like
It was. I'll even try and remember the names. Give me a minute. Overeem.
Hold on, air horns for fucking Rob, guys. Air horns for you guys. It's a big moment.
Was he the one that knocked out the other one?
Yeah, he's the one that won.
Who's the other one? Because did he have like some bad shit?
His stepdaughter was tragically murdered. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, his name was Walt Harris. Yes.
Well, recently, like not long ago.
Last year.
Oh, okay. All right. But is he not fought since then or something?
No, he hasn't fought since then. He was supposed to fight, and then that happened, and so he hasn't fought since then. And obviously, he's now fought.
It's the detail that I like. I tried.
What? You have no idea how much I appreciate it, Rob. I'll be honest. That's like like when you're talking to your girl, right? Or I should say this: when your girl's talking to you, and you actually remember like that 2 things that she said out of the 10 things she said, and it makes it seem like you were listening. And she's like really proud of that. She's really happy that you listened. That's me right now. I'm that girl. Okay, you listen to me. Thank you.
I feel like that. So if you could maybe watch stuff that I send to the topics.
Okay, if it's IFL Eddie Hearn interviews, I've seen one. I've seen them all.
Okay, so you'd have more detail.
I've read all your articles that you sent me.
Not
yours specifically, but you know what I mean. Articles that you send, I read them all.
Yeah, all right.
And most of the videos, it's just Eddie Hearn and IFL interviews. I don't like watching them.
Okay.
Because you relay the facts, or boxing scene does. I'm good. Speaking of boxing scene,
boxing staff does.
Boxing scene staff, which is no longer boxing clever. Just want to point that out. RIP boxing clever.
I'm going to apply. Because I'm always late. It's like someone eventually watches it and the news comes out. And I'm like, wait, this is from the interview that I watched. I'm going to apply. I'm going to get some. Going to get that boxing scene bag.
Santiago saying, Matt, you should recommend Rob some Michael Bisping fights. Michael Bisping being a UK MMA fighter. I think Rob knows who he is. I don't think Rob cares.
Yeah, I know him. And Darren Till.
Yeah. Rob's stereotypical that way.
I was clipping out trying to find something for a video, and it turns out the UFC fan base sang Sweet Caroline better than a lot of the boxing. Only the ones that recorded in the crowd. It was a good version at the Darren Till in Liverpool, I guess.
Oh, the high quality video?
Yeah, it was good audio, good sound. The bars were really good.
Anyway, let's move on to some boxing topics, guys. Eddie Hearn out there via Keith Idek of boxing scene saying, I see Joshua Pulev between September and November. Virtually impossible in the UK. Guys, thoughts about, and Robin, obviously go to you first since you're in the UK. You're Eddie Hearn's cousin, of course. Second cousin twice removed. Thoughts on Joshua Pulev being pushed back, because it was being talked about as being the same month as Wyatt Povetkin originally. Now it's being pushed back, at least in terms of planning and moving out of the UK. Thoughts on that development for this big fight?
Yeah, the pushing backs obviously was trying to give it the best hope to get fans in a stadium, right? So obviously the pandemics, I believe we're not allowed to say the C word. It stops videos getting demonetized and stuff and took down even if you mention.
We can say it. We can say it, guys. It's okay. We can't say it in the title. That's the trick.
Okay. It's just I've seen videos.
Like, for example, like we've done some shows where I put like coronavirus in the title. Demonetize. Instant demonetization for those videos. So we just don't put it in the title.
Oh, when you said C word, I thought you meant see you next Tuesday. I was like,
I'll drop that. No problem.
That's such like a Texan thing to think.
Quick story. We used to work with a Polish guy, and I taught him, instead of, he kept saying the C word, and I'm like, you got to be careful because like women, you don't really like that word, so try and obviously
that word, that word, yes.
Yeah, that's maybe with the guys it's cool. So I said, if you want to say it, you can say, see you next Tuesday, right? You get it? See you next. And he's like, okay. Anyway, finish work. All right, catch you tomorrow. And he went, see you next Tuesday, you cunt. I was like, no, not using it right. No, you don't do both.
Legend.
But yeah, it was good. It was good. But yeah, okay. So yeah, the pandemic, I think, is the reason, trying to get fans in the arena. And I don't see, well, it's so hard to plan, I guess, because you're going to wait and wait and wait, especially here. The government seem to be just making it up on the fly. So you're going to wait, you're going to wait, you're going to wait, and it might not happen that 2020 you're going to have 50,000, 70,000, anything like that in a arena, stadium, wherever. So I think Eddie said there's been 5 or 6 countries come in trying to look at the Pulev fight. He's mentioned in a few other videos like New Zealand, Australia, where incidentally Eddie had paperwork and everything because they were going to be launching Matchroom in those destinations. So, and obviously we were speaking before, Australia, not many cases. New Zealand, I think everything's cool. I know Boxing Squared will be listening from New Zealand, so he'll tell me. But I think they're pretty cool, opening up and gradually and doing things right. They were very quick on it to start with, so the virus hasn't really hit them like that. So I don't think that's where Joshua will end up. There's been an approach from Croatia in some like Roman Colosseum.
Let me quickly read the quote. This is actually from Chris Mannix's podcast that Keith Hedek is getting the quotes from. It's the fight that I see happening. Hearns said, we're all working together for other alternatives. We got approached from a amphitheater / Coliseum in Croatia last week, and some guys who wanted to bring the fight out there. The Middle East have shown interest in that fight as well. We really want to do that fight in the UK, but it's virtually impossible to do it. And to be honest, Chris, I don't really want to do an AJ fight behind closed doors. I just don't think, his whole career, his whole brand has been built on the fact that he is this huge draw. Tens of thousands of people, fireworks, Sweet Caroline, and screaming fans. To go and do it in a dark studio, an empty hall, just wouldn't feel right. So AJ is a little bit different, in that there's going to be plenty of approaches. There has been already about staging that fight outside the UK. So I see AJ fighting anywhere between September and November, to be honest with you. Back to Rob, unless we want to go to Gary.
No, just quickly. Yeah, I guess someone like a Joshua, where there's instant, I guess, people with site fees and things like that. Who else is there going to be really for those kind of offers? Like, obviously, I think there's Middle East have shown interest in a Pacquiao, and obviously Canelo, I guess, could go most countries in the world and put on a big event. So other than that, these big site fees aren't going to come in. So some costs could be offset with a big site fee from somewhere else. Again, you're waiting and waiting to find out, if we go there, can we get fans? Are we going to get the gate money and things like that? Because, Eddie apparently said he spoke to AJ and he told him the plan that we're going to get into regarding the backyard. And he said, oh, that'd be cool. I'd love that. He says, but, he said, I'd love it too, but we can't do a Joshua fight in my back garden of my old house. But yeah, obviously that's one fight this year that'll be one fight this year for Joshua. And I guess that might be true of, some others it'll turn out. But yeah, it'll be interesting, but I'm sure it's going to happen this year. But the question is, with or without fans, is the gate money going to come in? But I think certain countries will be ready to do that a lot quicker than us waiting here to find out if the government say, yeah, cool, you can crack on, get 70,000 in Tottenham or whatever.
Gary, your thoughts on AJ Pulev being moved to now September to November and outside the UK?
This is just like doing my taxes, right? Like when the virus first started, they pushed your date to do your taxes back from April 15th to I think July 15th. Okay, great. I don't have to worry about this. But then it's well, I'm still gonna have to do this at some point, right? So let me just get this out of the way, Right? It was great. I didn't have to worry about it. Like it was like March already, and I hadn't even looked at it yet. It was like I don't want to file my taxes. And you got to call your accountant, and they charge you more for doing it last minute. But then it's like, okay, let me just get this over with, so this headache isn't out there anymore. Can we just get this fight over with? I don't care where you do it. I get AJ's a star, and I get he's a ticket seller, and I get that. It's like over here in America, we don't care where you do it. Like I don't care if you do it in Wembley in front of 80,000 in Carl Froch, or if you do it somewhere else, if you do it in Croatia, or I don't care. Just get this fight over with, right? I understand Eddie Hearn wants to maximize every single AJ fight and get every single penny he can out of it. I get it. But as a fan, I don't care. This fight is so boring. Like, this is going to make the Joseph Parker fight look like a barn burner, right? Like, can we just get this over with? And I'm not even mad at Pulev. He deserves a title shot in a way, right? Like, he's got quality wins, and he's only got the one loss, but he's not going to win. It'd be like if this was Jamal James. Like, if Jamal James versus Errol Spence had to happen, like, okay, James has some good wins, but, like, I'm not interested in this fight. So, like, I'm just ready to get this fight over with, right? If we could do something in the interim, that'd be great. But, like, that's not going to happen. So now we have to wait till, let's split the difference, say October to get this. Just get this thing over with. Like I said, just do it in someone's basement. Quarantine them for 14 days. Get a referee, 3 judges, and someone from one of the sanctioning bodies to observe this, and just be done with it.
I largely agree with both of what you guys are saying here. I do think that it's not surprising to see this fight get pushed back, because every big fight is being pushed back. You know, like the fights we're mainly talking about in the first month or two of boxing being back, and, you know, June and July coming up are not really the best of fights. One of them we're going to be talking about later on, which is Mount Herring. These aren't big fights, and there's a reason why. Let's be honest. The overhead costs for fighters and fighter pay in boxing is extremely different. That's why the UFC is able to put on big events and still put on big shows, because they pay their fighters 20% of the revenue. That's why they're able to keep doing those shows. Boxing can't. That's same with every other major sport right now. That's why everything's being pushed back. Not surprising. Now the holdup, like you guys been saying, to put it in a studio. AJ doesn't want it to some degree, or Eddie Hearn, I think, specifically doesn't want it more than AJ doesn't want it, to be quite honest. That issue, in my opinion, should be absolved quite easily with some sort of site fee. And I know site fees are in part due to bring in audiences in, like Vegas's site fees, for example, are meant to bring in. Let's for example, you pay X amount of dollars for Mayweather fight. You're thinking all these high rollers are going to come into my casino, do business here, etc. Places like Saudi Arabia, that's not their concern. It's purely political propaganda that these events are for. You can get a big check from it. You can. The Philippines, I know that's been talked about in some aspect. Other places in Asia have been talked about for big fights. That's possible. Eastern Europe. There's probably a correlation between, you know, authoritative places and this happening, just saying. But digressing from that point, you can make this fight somewhere if you really want to. And you can probably find a big enough site fee, air quotes site fee in this new sense, to absolve this loss of revenue from the gate. Because you're going to lose revenue. That's why Wilder Fury is not happening right now. But AJ specifically has already gone international. His path to get that bag should be a lot easier than Wilder and Fury, though Fury has gone international too. So it should be easy for both of them. Like, this shouldn't be an issue. If they want these fights to happen, they can call up the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain. Shout out to the Kinahan groups. Almost a different word there. Never mind. You know, you can make fights in the Middle East. It shouldn't be that hard. Let's be honest.
God, glad I missed that show.
I want.
I'm gonna write in the private chat what I almost said. I don't want to say it out loud. But anyways, you guys ready to move on, or you guys want any other thoughts, so to speak, on this topic?
Yeah. What's your thought with the US and like fight crowds? Because I've got ideas that I think Vegas will push it. Yeah, you can say gang. It's fine.
I said it. I don't want to say that. You can say it. You're closer to them.
I don't know. We have to. Yeah, I guess depends which way around the earth from Bahrain you go. If you turn left or right at the airport, right? But yeah, I think Vegas will be the first place in the US with fans, right? Texas won't be far behind because they're just literally cowboys.
Honestly, but Florida, obviously, they've already been doing events. They're gonna have WWE there. They have been doing WWE events there. So I mean, I think Florida is a highly likely possible location for fans to be back.
Vegas literally relies on obviously tourism, right? People come into Vegas, so it's no good saying, "Oh yeah, we can open up the hotels," but no one can sit in like watch a show or go to a boxing event, or who's going to go just to sit in a hotel room because the hotels are open. So obviously with my interest in MGM, I hope it all comes good and business gets back to usual over there very quickly. But yeah, I just wondered, I think you guys will have fans quicker than we do at events, so maybe Vegas might be interested in a Joshua Pulev, and Joshua can go to the US and exercise the demons.
Yeah, the first time he went to the US didn't work out so well for him. I think he might want to stay away from that.
In terms of like my thoughts on like no fans in attendance, I really don't have that big of an issue with it. I mean, I've been watching undercard fights for a decade now plus, so like you get used to seeing really good fights, honestly, that you kind of unfortunately forget because there's nobody in attendance to sort of hype it up. But if the whole card's like that, it kind of all bleeds into one. It kind of just seems like a low attendance event. The UFC cards, I mean, I know you guys don't watch them particularly. I know Rob, maybe I've seen some clips, but that wasn't a big issue in my opinion. It seems to be a consensus opinion amongst everyone that was watching those fights that it wasn't a negative effect to have nobody in attendance like that, to be honest.
I know Eddie's trying to sell it because he's going to be doing something similar himself, but he said it was almost quite compelling. Like you could hear the shots landing. You could hear like when a body shot lands, like the guy like, oh, you could hear. And I know apparently some of the fighters could hear, was Daniel Cormier or something, commentator, or they could hear him saying what I would do. And it's like, yeah, good plan. I might try that. This guy's doing this to me. And Daniel Cormier is just giving me the game plan to turn this fight around or whatever. But I don't know. I'm interested to see it and how boxing's going to look. Because like you say, we're kind of used to it until main event comes around when the room starts filling out, which I will never understand. If I'm going to go to an event, I'm going to go to the event and watch the card. I don't know. But people buy a ticket for the main event and that's it. That's what they go and see. But it's like,
come on.
I bought a ticket to the movies. I'll catch the ending. I'll chill out eating popcorn and drinks and shit while the start of the movie's on in the middle, and then I'll catch the ending.
If you're paying, let's say, like $60 for a ticket, right? Like you're paying for like the cheap seats, right? You're paying like $40-$60 for a ticket, right?
Yeah. As a boxing fan, yeah.
As a boxing fan, right? You just want to go and just see the event. You want to be in the live atmosphere. You're not done that tons of time. Just go buy a cheap ticket just to go to an event. There are definitely fights you can just miss and still get enough bang for your buck on undercard, right? Like you can miss some fights. And I'm not saying like all of them and just come for the main event. Like that's kind of crazy, even if you're paying the cheap ticket. But I can get somebody not want to be there for like 8 hours. Because like that's what it feels like. It's a 6 to 8 hour process to sit there and watch an entire fight card. That's an entire work day.
That's what I'm saying. Like some of these cards have 13, 14 fights on. Unless you're a boxing head like we are, who's gonna sit through that? You go for the last 3-4 fights, you get the whole experience, and you're still there for 2 hours. I mean, look, I agree with you as a boxing head. Yes, I want to see every single fight. I want to get there for the first fight. But I mean, Rob, not everyone. I mean, if you're listening to this show, you're probably a boxing head, right? Unless you found it by accident.
And even then, if you find it by accident, you're still listening. You're a boxing head on
Right?
YouTube looking for boxing videos. You're a nerd. It's okay. But anyways, let's move on, guys. We still have heavyweight topics to get to. Errol shooting down the claim that Wilder revealed a step-aside amount. The quote is from Ringside Reporter. When asked about the $10 million fee, he said directly the contrary. Errol told Ringside Reporter, the Wilder people, when they saw these stories, made it known to us and MTK, shout out to MTK and the Kinahans, that Wilder was not amenable to step aside. That he wanted to fight Fury again and gain revenge. So these stories about step aside were fantasies. Thoughts about this at all, guys? I mean, this has been a developing story. I feel like we've been saying for a while that we don't believe it's going to happen, even though in theory it could. But now that we hear Bob Arum, Tyson Fury's promoter or co-promoter, I should say that no, Wilder's team never requested. Yeah, we know, but just somewhat honest. MTK, let's be honest, they're up there too. Even though they're not really a promoter, they're a management company. But digressing, them denying this step aside fee is just a confirmation of what we knew, that they're going to wait for this Fury fight because the Fury fight represents so much money that to take even a step aside right now might make the trilogy fight in jeopardy. It just might, due to circumstance, the way the world is working right now. It's smart to hold this contract in place for as long as possible. And I kind of get that, to be honest.
I got conflicting thoughts on this, right? First, I get that totally. And you didn't even mention Tyson Fury's mental state, right? Will he want to fight 6 weeks from now? Who knows, right? Who knows what he's going to want to do tomorrow? That's a serious. So you want to get this thing, as soon as possible, because you don't know where Tyson. If you give Tyson Fury 6 months off, he may be 400 pounds again. I'm not, I'm being serious, right? So try to get this thing done as quick as possible. Flip that around. Wilder's best chance to win is for him to go back into camp, start a whole new camp with new eyes on him, and probably take something in between, right? Or at least, I don't think him going back into this is the best interest of him winning the fight. Now, it's probably too much money to walk away from, right? I'm not going to fight a mentally unstable person and give him another 6 months to push this thing off. I'm going to take that fight now because it's 30, 40, $50 million potentially, I don't know, as opposed to 10 million. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess it's too much money to walk away from, but I still think his best interest is to push it back. In order of winning, if his interest is winning the fight, I think he should push it back.
Before Rob can jump in, sorry, Rob. This fight's already pushed back, and right. I've said this already. You can have live fights in the gym, like that is completely possible.
Yeah,
fighters do this actually quite often. I mean, even we had, was it Sean Porter who did the live sparring match? Remember this, guys? He did on like YouTube or something like that before the Thurman fight. Because remember, Thurman got injured in the car accident. Remember that whole fiasco? And then Sean Porter, I forget who he sparred, but he put on like a 4-round, 6-round exhibition match, and he like streamed it or something to that effect. You can do that without even streaming it. If you want to keep it all behind closed doors, so if stuff happens, you want to work on stuff, you can have 2 or 3 tune-ups. Let's be honest. By the time we hit November or October, we're talking about this fight actually happening. Right? He could have a good 2-month period and have a live match in August, something like that, to prepare for this. No issue at all. And I just think that you can do this. It was 10 rounds, actually. Thank you, Santiago. Santiago, who did he spar? I'm curious. I forget. I don't think it should be an issue. And the only way this, if I'm Wilder, if I accept this, is if you come to me with an absurd amount. And maybe 10 million wasn't that amount. Maybe they obviously never requested that per Bob Arum. But if there was an absurd amount, I would still think about taking a step aside if I'm Wilder. But that's not happening. He hasn't requested it and all that stuff. Rob, your thoughts on this story? I didn't hear your thoughts.
Was it Brandon Lynch? Was it streamed on the PBC Facebook page?
I think you're right, yeah.
All right.
The name rings a bell.
Yeah.
And in fact, that was Facebook. It brings a lot of bells. I think you're right. That was on Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah, what were we talking about? I forgot what we were talking about.
The whole Wilder Stepaside thing not being actually a thing, so to speak.
I was skeptical when every bit of reporting said rumored Wilder wants 10 million and Joshua the winner in the contract or whatever. I was kind of skeptical that did Wilder actually say this? Where's the link, or where's the actual source? Is Wilder said this somewhere? Where's he said this? So yeah, and like we said, ideally we'd get undisputed. Wilder would get a trainer. Wilder would learn how to do things better, and things like that, and come back, face the winner more prepared and healed up from bicep surgery or whatever it was, and yeah, it would work that way, and it might be in the long run beneficial. Pick up some step aside for not paying, for not fighting, for not for just healing up, and go away, learn your craft, and get paid for it. That's nice. But in reality, knowing Wilder as much as I think I maybe do, he was never gonna just walk away from this fight, I don't think, and take the loss, because he literally hasn't taken the loss. So yeah, this is going to be pushed back. God knows when we get it, because all we keep hearing is it done nearly $17 million on the gate. How can you leave that on the table? And Bob Arum all the way through this. Well, where's this 10 million going to come from? Where's this step aside money going to come from? I mean, who's paying that? Like, it's all bullshit. And just quickly, Eddie Hearn kind of reaffirmed, sort of backed this up. He said, we know Wilder's not going to take the step aside money, so we push on. We get the Pulev fight done. Then we look at. He's obviously thinking Fury wins, because he said we'll do a 2-fight deal with Fury. Wilder doesn't have to be in that contract, because he'll be kind of irrelevant, because obviously Fury would have beaten him a third time. He's irrelevant. This is like a voluntary defense in a way. And if he loses, he's back in the rankings. And why would he get a shot at the?
Well, of course, no. That doesn't need to explain. Yeah. Of course, if Fury beats Wilder.
Yeah. But he said
with Wilder in a Fury AJ contract. Of course, that doesn't need explaining.
Yeah, but he was just like, it was just his way of getting the. He's irrelevant if whatever, just digs. I guess
he's not irrelevant. He just wouldn't be involved in that discussion, because the winners would fight each other.
Obviously, if Wilder wins, we want that fight. So look forward to that. Getting those shows about offers and shit regarding what for Wilder and Joshua. But yeah, this isn't surprising. I think every show we did on it, we kind of fell back to it's probably going to go with the original plan. We're going to get the trilogy with Fury, Wilder, and Pulev's going to go ahead and fight his mandatories. So I don't know. The virus has just messed the whole kind of calendar and how these things are going to slot into place, I guess. But
let's move on. Canelo Alvarez, per MMAonPoint over at Boxing Scene and LA Times, sort of gives his hit list, or I should say Eddie Reneso gives his hit list of what they're talking about and negotiating and discussing. Quote from Eddie Reneso, I should say, he told Box Azteca, and then we're getting this from MMAonPoint. We realistically want 2 fights this year. We couldn't fight in May, so we're looking at September and December. We're talking about potential opponents like Billy Joe Saunders. There's also Caleb Plant and the WBC world title holder at 168 pounds, David Benavidez. There are several options. ... Golovkin could be the fight for December. His people have already said that he doesn't want to fight Canelo until after the Kamil Zemarata fight. Guys, thoughts on Canelo and what's happening for him this year? What's next for him this year? What is going to be that September fight? What is the December fight? Do we see Golovkin trilogy this year? All those fun narratives and talking points we have right now. Gary, thoughts?
We're probably going to get Triple G, because the zone's going to need it. That's a fight where a ton of casuals are going to add.
You're just saying we're going to get this year, not necessarily September.
It's going to be tough to get it. We're going to get it this year. We're going to get a Triple G trilogy this year. I would say it's going to be in December, because that's what Triple G seems to want. But if that fight's offered to him in September, he's got to take it, right? So maybe it happens in September. My gut feeling is December, and Canelo will fight someone else in September, probably Billy Joe. But DAZN needs that fight to happen because that is like they will get millions of people. I don't know, millions, but maybe to pick up the app for that fight. They need that fight, it'll happen. I don't know who he fights the other fight, but any of those names, Benavidez, Plant would be my personal preference. But any of those names are great. Like, I'll take any one of them.
Before Rob jumps in, I want to say quickly, I think Plant and Benavidez are like names that you just throw in because they're fun fights in theory, but like realistically, those are the harder fights to make for a variety of reasons that we're all quite aware of. And also to the point of like the DAZN needing a Canelo fight, they absolutely need Canelo and AJ this year.
But like,
absolutely,
you'll agree with this because you're a Canelo fanboy. Canelo doesn't care. If Canelo says, I'm fighting Benavidez, make that fight, they'll make the fight. You know what I'm saying? And like Canelo, that's not like Canelo's done it before. I'm going to fight this guy. I'm going to fight Laura. I'm going to fight Kovalev. Make the fight.
I think you have three different sort of cooks in the kitchen right now when it comes to Canelo fights. Canelo.
Yeah.
Oscar, Eric Gomez, Golden Boys, hierarchy. And then
take Oscar out, don't.
But Oscar company, right?
No, look,
that's named after him.
You have Canelo, marching up to Oscar with contract, saying, "What the fuck is this?" I mean, Oscar's definitely involved in some aspect. Whether or not he is like effective is beside the point, Rob. He is definitely involved. Just he's a mess. He's the monkey wrench in all of this. And you have the DAZN in this. All three of those entities and groups want different things right now. When we talk about Canelo having Laura march him down in a press conference and saying, "No, I'll fight you," and making Oscar make the fight, all he had to sort of appease was Oscar, who was coming off of rehab and definitely could not handle anything at the time. So he was able to push that through. And on top of it, Showtime at the time was so, what's the term? It allowed the stars to control the narrative, control the network. And that might seem in a disparaging way of saying that, but that was just what they allowed. You had Mayweather, you had Canelo in Showtime. It allowed those guys to call their shots because they were the stars, and and the network recognized that. DAZN has been pushing for the Triple G fight for a year and a half now, with Canelo saying no. You have Oscar pushing for the Triple G fight for a year and a half now, with Canelo saying no. Clearly, there's a difference of opinions in what people want here. I think that dysfunction will lead to fights that maybe Canelo wants not happening, like a Benavidez fight or a Plant fight happening, because the levers of control here aren't bending his way automatically, because all these entities want different things. Gary, back to you.
No, I largely agree with you. I'm just being hopeful because those two fights would be fantastic, right? Again, I think we're going to get Billy Joe and Triple G, which is great. It's fine. I would just rather see one of the other two fights. And that's just me being a boxing fan. But look, if he fights Billy Joe in September and Triple G in December, can't complain about that. You know what I'm saying? That's a great year. All things considered, it's, he'll be fighter of the year again if he wins those two fights.
That's going to be so weird. Dude, if Canelo fights Billy Joe Saunders and Triple G in 2020, in the year of like all the big fights not happening, of all of our plans being ruined in civilization, that's amazing. Like, that'd be a mark of them pushing through to make some big fights, because those are big fights in my mind. You may think the Benavidez or Plant fight are better fights, but I think Billy Joe and Triple G are bigger fights right now.
Yeah.
So that's impressive if they're able to do that. And it'd be impressive if the DAZN's able to do that. Like, that would be those would be events that hold them over through this period. And they don't have those events right now. They don't have like a Last Dance documentary that they can hold on to right now, like ESPN's holding on to.
It's over now. It's all done.
And did you notice today all like the big, like, how to describe, like the dump websites like Complex News, stuff like that? They're all posting different memes of like, oh, what's the next documentary for ESPN to do? Clearly like fishing for fan reaction to see like what they should do next. But the zone needs live sports, and a Canelo Billy Joe Saunders fight, that's huge. And remember, that was the fight they were going to open up the worldwide app to. So yeah, that'd be impressive, and big props to them if they're able to do that. Quickly, shout out to Santiago for the super chat. The 10-round exhibition for Sean Porter was Leonardo Tyner. That's who he fought. I remember that now. Anyways, Rob, I don't think you've given your thoughts yet about this whole Canelo situation, his hit list, so to speak, from Eddie Renesso. Thoughts?
Yeah, I largely agree that the Benavidez and Plant will kind of throw them in there. I think regardless of what maybe DAZN and Canelo want, I think Al would say, no. We're building towards the in-house unification with Plant and Benavidez. DAZN, thank you very much. But after this pandemic, how about you concentrate on what you're doing? We'll concentrate on what we're doing. And I don't know. It's just the names out there. I think we still get the Saunders fight in September and the Triple G fight again from that Mannix thing. I don't know if that report came into it, but Eddie Hearn was kind of laying out why the Zarameta thing's kind of happening. He was, I think, trying to take some heat away from Triple G, saying he wanted to fight Canelo in the May of the September of the year that Triple G signed to DAZN. Canelo dug his heels in. It kind of exposed what happened with Oscar saying, yeah, you signed Triple G and we'll get that fight on, we'll make it. And then oh shit, Canelo said no. And DAZN like, wait, what the fuck? We thought we were all in agreement here. I thought we were all down for this,
And I was like, nope, I was never agreeing to this.
I'm not fighting him again. I've done 24 rounds with him. I lost most of them, but never mind. And yeah, look, Eddie said, so that's kind of DAZN's plan. They want to build again this like extended fight season again, so subscribers know like that month this fight, that month that fight, that. So it's like they want to set out so people know what they're subscribing to. So he said we had an agreement in place for Saunders. He said I think that will stand, and then Zarameta, Triple G, get that done, and you can tell the fans like the winners will meet off and fight each other in December. So it's, I guess, kind of about scheduling and trying to show the customer what they'll be getting. So, but yeah, I think Benavidez and Plant was just names to mention in a hit list that isn't really a hit list because the list has probably got 2 names on it. And don't forget this Callum Smith. People are like, oh, but they wouldn't throw another offer out to Callum Smith. Yeah, well, are they what? Because he turned it down. Well, Plant turned his offer down. Said he didn't have enough time to get ready. So I don't know. There's still.
You get him, Rob. You tell him.
I'm just saying. You can't not offer Smith one if you're going to offer Plant another one. I'm just saying. There's plenty still kind of in-house for Canelo to take these tick off the checklist on these.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. This division there's parity in this division. Like PBC has names. They have 2 champions. Matchroom has 2 champions. You have Canelo in the mix, right? Like there's enough parity here. Like there's matchups to be made on both sides. There are great matchups. Like we don't need to hark on like we need this crossover fight because we need to hark on Benavidez versus Plant and Smith versus Billy Joe Saunders if Canelo's not in that mix.
And then the winners of those unifications
absolutely
are appealing for a Canelo. So, especially with Canelo rumored possibly that he will be going back down to 160, although apparently in the paperwork for this Triple G fight is kind of been left to Canelo. So he'll probably be making Triple G think he's making 160 and then go, do you know what? We'll do it at super middle. And meanwhile, he's been preparing for super middle, and Triple G's maybe think, I better get my weight down because if we're good to go soon and it's all decided, and he says 160, I need to be closer. Or so the power obviously with the A side, but yeah, in-house fights I think coming forward.
Are we all in agreement that we think it's going to be Billy Joe Saunders in September?
Yep.
Uh,
The outcome of the British Boxing Board of Control suspension. I think Nevada will still say Canelo fight in Vegas. Yeah, don't worry, you can pick who you want.
and plus, that suspension is going to go away. It's not going to last forever. It's not going to last till September. It just won't. Like, I'm sorry. Like, that'll be more than a lot of drug suspensions. So, like, no,
Well, it's boxing. Who knows?
it's boxing too. But like,
he got more for making a dumb video than Gerald Miller. Excellent.
The British Boxing Board Control is a little bit more consistent, if that makes sense. I will give them that leeway. They have a level of consistency to them. Quickly though, BK in the chat asking, do we all think Blazo Saunders will lose this fight? I think we're all in agreement that he will lose, right?
Yeah, I think ultimately, I just don't think he can hurt Canelo, and Canelo was able to come forward against Triple G.
I think when we get closer to the fight, you're going to get some people who are going to pick Billy Joe. It'll be a minority, but you'll get some people to pick Billy Joe. He's a southpaw. He's looked good. He's tricky, but no, I pick Canelo win on decision. It'll be good. Billy Joe win rounds though. Like it'll be a good competitive fight, but Canelo win.
Billy Joe Saunders feasts on simple punchers. Chris Eubank Jr., David Lemieux, he feasts on those guys.
Wide punches.
And anyone else though, like Billy Joe Saunders kind of looks human, to be honest. Not that he's not good, he's not talented, but he looks human. Canelo is not a simple puncher like David Lemieux.
He hasn't looked human since. Who was the guy that proper buckled him?
Who?
Canelo. Who?
Matthew Hatton?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
Like or like Austin Trout, maybe for like that one moment, people thought like Trout roughed him up. Mayweather roughed him up. Obviously, Mayweather beat him. But like in terms of like him looking bad, Canelo hasn't looked bad since maybe Laura to a degree.
Yeah.
But that was more because he was ineffective. It wasn't because Laura then made him look bad, because both guys were largely ineffective. And if anything,
a boxing lesson.
I mean, you have to hit him to make a boxing lesson. I'm really pepping shit over here. Come on.
He landed more punches in 11 rounds according to CopyBox. Is that right?
Yeah, and CopyBox says that Chaz Witherspoon landed 20 punches on.
I know. I'm not. I'm just
fact.
Devil's advocate. I don't ever quote CopyBox because I think it's stupid.
Facts.
It's literally one guy sitting on one side of the ring trying to count punches. I mean, maybe he's right. He's probably not.
It'd be so hard to do that.
I'm saying.
I think honestly, it'd be harder to try to sit there and like judge like which punch actually landed like clean every single punch than to try to just judge around.
Still objective, isn't it? It's not like
subjective. Subjective. Objective means like there's like 1 + 1 = 2 is objective. You know what I mean? Like, what is happiness? How do you get happiness in life is a subjective question, because there's no direct answer to that. You know, objective is there's math to it. There's a set science to it.
Oh, okay.
Like I subjectively have great hair.
Yes.
Oh, that could be objectively too. No,
no, it's not. Like we subjectively have a great boxing podcast.
We do. Although if there was a science to formulating great hair, like if you could just go into the lab and make great hair, like I guess it would just be mine. You know, like you say, can you make the perfect baseball player if you got this guy's power, this guy's speed, this guy's no? You would just make Ken Griffey Jr. That's like my hair. There's your baseball reference, Rob.
Hey, you know what? It's been a while. A whole hour. It took him a whole hour, Rob. Can we be proud of Gary for this moment? Gold star for him today. Moving on, though, speaking of big names taking on big fights, even during this whole pandemic, Errol Spence Jr. is expected to still face Danny Garcia this fall in his comeback fight on pay-per-view, writes Mike Coppinger over at The Athletic. Not too surprising. Similar to Canelo in a way. Like, I'm not surprised that Canelo is still like thinking about fighting Billy Joe Saunders in September. I'm not surprised that Errol Spence is wanting to face Danny Garcia in the fall. He's been saying that for months now anyways. Like, he hasn't really gone off script on this, to be quite honest. It's just, to me, really impressive if we get these fights during this pandemic. Like, I'll be honest, with the way the business is set up, I'm still shocked if we get these fights with no crowd. Not that I don't think it's happening, not that I don't believe this fight's not happening. Same with Canelo fights. I do believe these fights are going to happen, but it is still shocking that they are happening in it of themselves to a degree. There's a reason why, like, we talk about like Loma and Teofimo Lopez struggling to get made right now. Be in the same breath, we can say that Errol Spence, Danny Garcia, that for sure is going to happen. That's crazy. And also crazy that Errol Spence still wants that work off that accident. I wouldn't. I would want to tune up, to be quite honest. Guys, thoughts on Spence facing Danny Garcia for his next fight in the fall on pay-per-view, presumably on Fox pay-per-view, though I don't think it was stated in the article. I don't remember. Gary?
Look, I think they're pushing this off till January because they want to keep the option open of putting fans in there, right? Like January is still 6 months out, 7 months out. Maybe it'll be better by then. Worst case scenario, we do it without any fans. I think that's why they're pushing it all the way 7 months out.
They're not planning January. They're planning the fall.
Didn't I read January?
It was
January.
This year. Remember, it was scheduled for January something of this year.
Okay, I misread that.
Yeah, you misread that.
Okay. All right, then we can do it then.
They're talking about an October, November, December date.
What is the point of great hair if you can't read?
I don't need to read when I have great hair, Rob.
Gary's the bimbo.
I can't read or hair, so.
Then they're gonna do it without any fans. Then, then just make a Crawford fight. Then, like really, if you're gonna make big fights, then just make the Crawford fight. There's nothing wrong with a Garcia fight except the fight's meaningless, right? Like, even if Garcia wins, we still don't know who the best welterweight in the world is. So there's 3 welterweights who can kind of make that claim. Pacquiao, because he beat Thurman, Spence, and Crawford. Fight each other. All the other fights are just window dressing.
I will say this, though. If Danny Garcia beat Errol Spence, that would indicate something.
Is it better than Spence beating? It doesn't make him the best welterweight in the world.
It would definitely show that maybe now it's a Pacquiao-Crawford race, potentially.
But you still got to put Pacquiao in there because he just beat Thurman. You know,
and we go back to the point that maybe Pacquiao's still the best welterweight in the world, minus Mayweather. Just saying, that's fucking crazy.
How is Danny Garcia not beating Spence? How does that not put him in the conversation?
No, he's in the conversation, but if Spence beats Crawford, Spence is the best welterweight in the world. That's it. If Garcia beats Spence, now we've just replaced Spence with Garcia. We still have a 3-man race here.
But the Danny Garcia truthers that think he beat Keith Thurman and Sean Porter, man, they're gonna come out and
wrong though. Like, he didn't win. I like Danny. He didn't win either of those fights.
No, I know, but you know, Gary, that there's people out there, and quite a few people, that think he either won 1 or 2 of those fights. And if he beats Spence, oh my God, they will go nuts. The Danny Garcia fans will be back. And we haven't seen them in like a year or so. We missed.
Redacted was big on that Garcia beat Porter. I was like, no, he didn't. And then, like, Garcia beat Thurman. I thought he lost wide. I thought the judges had it too close. Like, he didn't beat Thurman. At best, he won 4 rounds in that fight.
He got a lucky punch against Amir Khan. I mean, come on.
About 5 of them.
Yeah, lucky. Now, look, Danny Garcia kind of comes up short in the moment, right? Kind of. That's
in this division. Yes, in this division. Yeah.
I think he's going to be a tough out for Spence.
Yeah.
Didn't get rid of Mikey Garcia coming up 2 weight divisions. Porter put him through Howe and arguably won that fight or a draw with Spence. And Danny Garcia, he's in a fight. He's always in a fight. You know, I don't know. I think I'm not picking Danny Garcia, but I think it's a good fight, especially coming off the accident. We don't know where he is. I mean, he would have been quite entitled to take a tune-up, but he's, you know, Danny's the mandatory? Danny Garcia is the mandatory. So
I think Danny wins rounds. I think Danny wins at least 4 rounds in this fight.
Oh, for sure. I think it could be even going into the 12th. It could be like, wow, who, you know.
Absolutely. And like, I go back to my point when, like, post Spence Porter, right? When all of a sudden I was of the mindset of, this shows that he's of the pack. I'm still of that mindset. Spence is a part of the pack. He's not some transcendental talent that's necessarily going to blow away all these guys. He might be a great Hall of Fame fighter at the end of his career, obviously speaking, but He's still going to be of the pack. That means he can be beat by these guys.
He get beat by the pack.
He might be the leader in the pack, but it's not Usain Bolt and everybody else. We're both just like sprinting.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? Like, he might be a little bit ahead, but those guys are within.
Sean Porter was
close.
I mean, honestly, if he didn't get knocked down in the last round, he wins the fight.
Yeah, essentially the difference. Yeah, well, it is the difference. I think.
I think it was in terms of the scorecards. I could be wrong about that, but I want to say that knockdown was the savior, so to speak, for Spence's undefeated record, for his title reign. Absolutely. And Porter was that close. And I remember the Danny fight with Porter being razor thin as well. Thurman and all these guys are razor thin. That means Spence must be of the pack. And if Pacquiao is beating the pack right now, then maybe Pacquiao is the best guy in the division.
The Pac-Man. Just so you know, it wasn't close on the.
Thank you, Rob. Hold on. Thank you for that joke. It was so good.
The knockdown wasn't the difference.
All the judges had it wide though, right? Like one had it wide for Porter, and the other two had.
Two of them had it 116, 111, and the other one was 115, 112. All of UD.
All over the place. Yeah.
So,
it was a tough fight to score, though. It was.
Yeah.
Porter was doing good work on the inside. Like, it was tough to score.
Yeah. The thing I think with Porter sometimes, a lot of it isn't necessarily clean, right? It's not. It's just like rough houses guys, and it was particularly clean work, and if he could be more accurate and selective, but then maybe do you take away what is effective from Sean Porter? You know, so. But yeah, Danny Garcia, just so you know, he opened up as a plus 400 and Spence was a minus 600. And that has now tightened up. Spence is a minus 400 and Danny's now a plus 275. So that is closing up. So it'd be interesting come fight night where how close to even money it gets. I don't know. But 2-1 maybe. Just under 2-1 for maybe.
Right.
But yeah, interesting. I thought it was perfectly good. Pay-per-view, I guess.
I want. Obviously, it's going to be pay-per-view. We knew it was. It's too big welterweights. We knew it was at this point. I think, honestly, if we get any of these welterweights in combination with each other, it's going to be pay-per-view. Same with Crawford. Like Crawford versus Danny, Crawford versus Porter. Those are pay-per-views, whether it's ESPN, Fox, pay-per-view. Doesn't matter. Those are all pay-per-views. Crawford Khan. Brooke, I think that's a pay-per-view for sure. Absolutely. Even though it shouldn't be, it will be. I will ask this though, because we obviously had, and this is gonna be hard to sort of guess this far out in advance in the fall when presumably we're gonna have some major sports back in some fashion, right? Like presumably when we hit October fall, basketball is back in some fashion, NFL is back in some fashion, MLB is back in some fashion. What that looks like, we don't know, but they'll be back. We saw this last weekend, I know you guys didn't pay attention to it, but a UFC pay-per-view that grossly oversold in terms of who the drawing power was. Tony Ferguson and Justin Gaethje have never sold well on pay-per-view. I think Tony Ferguson's biggest pay-per-view was maybe like 200,000 pay-per-view buys. Something that's very low, right? A guy that's not a star. This fight was not a draw, but it was the only thing in the world right then and there, and it got 700,000 pay-per-view buys only on ESPN Plus. So is there a way where this fight oversells because of this climate, this sort of predicament we're in, this sort of pandemic we're in, obviously, where this is somehow gets more spotlight, gets more attention, maybe sports are back in the right way, and this does an exceedingly good pay-per-view buy rate? Guys.
Yeah, I mean, like everyone just noticed what that did. 700,000. I don't know these guys from Adam, but you're telling me that they're not pay-per-view sellers, right?
No.
Well, in this market, in this condition, they are. Like they're going to notice that in some of these fights now, they're going to be put on pay-per-view because if that can sell, I can make anything sell. You know what I'm saying? Like I can sell Guillermo Rigondeaux on pay-per-view now. Like
that's still a bit too far there, Gary. That's
you know what I'm saying? Like fights I would never dream to put on pay-per-view.
Well, I'll put it this way. Maybe a Leo Santa Cruz, Javante Davis.
That was a lot better. I was thinking that one. Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't do 150,000 buys. Maybe it does 250,000 buys or 300,000 buys. Maybe that's more likely now. I don't know. It just, to me, that number last weekend was such a huge uptick in what they had done in the past. It was alarming to me to some degree. Maybe alarming is a negative connotation, but it was just, to me, it showed that maybe this climate is more conducive to certain events doing more than average than it should have done in terms of viewership, buy rate, whatever it may be in those metrics. Rob, any other thoughts on pay-per-view, on obviously or Spence Danny Garcia pay-per-view?
I've just got a feeling if boxing hangs around too long waiting to put on a pay-per-view, it's going to get lost in the weeds a bit because other sports are going to be back. So we, as far as boxing goes, there might be a slight uptake in numbers a bit, but I don't see something suddenly doing gangbuster numbers. I think boxing very quickly is going to be firmly in the niche market again. I think it's going to miss the window of being like, oh shit, the first sports are back. Everybody watch it. It's sport. You know, we just want to see something live, for fuck's sake. You know, I think boxing might just miss the window as far as you know, live events to tune into and then to possibly sell it, especially for you guys. I know, again, UFC's what, like $65 plus your ESPN or whatever it is. Boxing coming back asking for 75. I know Bob's got ideas of doing it cheaper, but I don't know. Does I mean, for me, I've always liked it because I think the more people, even if it doesn't match up to the revenue of a $75 one, but if X amount people like extra buy it, it's more people watching it. But so that's what I want, is more people watching our sport. But obviously, to the guys running it, they want the money rather than.
That's long-term thinking. We don't do that in boxing, Rob.
No, if we could get away with $10,000 pay-per-views and 100 people buy it, they're good. You know, if only 100 people watch it, but we sold them for X amount, then whatever, we don't care. The money's there. But I just want the eyeballs on the sport. But you know, the wrong Hearn is in charge, I'm afraid.
Damn cousin of yours. Speaking of your damn cousin, Eddie Hearn, on a legacy plan to build boxing in his office garden, writes Luke Reedy over at BBC.com. Well, that's not what I meant to hit. Here we go. Rob actually, you know, put a drone over the whole place and captured on video. That was actually kind of creepy. But digressing from that point, guys, thoughts on Eddie Hearn's plan to have boxing in the, I forget what location, which headquarters these are, but this huge villa in the UK and build a ring outside. Thoughts about this whole thing?
That's Eddie Hearn's birth. You know, that's where he grew up. That's his house.
Oh, how quaint.
Yeah.
Rob used to have Thanksgiving dinners when he was a kid, even though they don't celebrate Thanksgiving over there, which is
yeah.
They keep Rob at the kids' table still.
Yeah. I had to keep going to the silver spoon cupboard, you know, and pass it on to Eddie and stuff. No, but yeah, that's Matchroom HQ. That's where they do all the videos you like to watch, Matt, with Coogan. But yeah, no, I think it's a great idea. I think, you know, overheads, you're not paying to book a venue. You know,
it's not an island. It's not on the beach. There's not a moat with sharks around it. Like, you know, I just need some more theatrics, to be honest.
One moat around Matchroom HQ. You know that?
Is there a moat around it? That's not surprising.
Making you doubt yourself. No, I think it's great. You know, I really do. I think if he could pull it off, I don't know. In the excitement of it all, he was talking about fucking fireworks and a whole bunch of stuff, like crazy concept. But I think he wants to make I don't know, like, I think it's been received well. The whole, you know, you scroll through all the comments on the topic, it seems to be positive. Like, you know, I think people just want it back. They don't really care where it is, maybe. But as far as I think logistically, costs wise, I mean, he's going to be around £1 million. It's going to cost like £1 million to put it on, and how much of that you can get back, I don't know. The idea is that White Povetkin will be a pay-per-view at the end of it in the fight. I think it's 4 weeks back to back. Early August will be White Povetkin on pay-per-view live from Eddie Hearns' backyard. It's crazy, but if it gets boxing back, sign me up. But a local hotel will be booked, X amount of tests, and the whole quarantining.
They still have to obviously adhere to the British Boxing Board of Controls.
Yeah, I mean, they had a guidance. That's like, I think Eddie said there's room to maneuver. This isn't like law has been set down. This is just their guidance. I mean, they don't want the British boxing don't want title fights. I think world title fights. But Eddie wants to do Terry Harper, Natasha Jonas for the world title. So I think there's room to talk. Obviously, they'll do the first one, see how it goes. Obviously, continue to see what the government are saying, regarding sports and what can be done and what can't be done. So, because at the minute, look, gyms, I believe, are opening soon here. But then, can you spar? So, I don't know. But we'll see.
Let's be honest. These fighters, if they want to spar, if their gyms are open, if they're not, it doesn't matter. Like of
course, sparring, boot tennis. I think it was in Philly and stuff like that. Everyone's doing their thing.
I told all you guys on the back end last week, right, that Robert Garcia's boxing academy opened up. I think it was this last weekend, right? Yeah, it would have been this last weekend. And like Jose Ramirez came in. I think Mikey came in. Who else? Franco came in. Joshua Franco. Who else?
Tanahara.
I don't think Tanahara came in.
Oh, is he not getting a fight?
I don't think so. Probably not. He's not poor enough. That happens.
For a brief window, there was talk of Ryan Garcia, Tanahara, because Linares isn't going to be able to get. So that would have been.
Garcia doesn't want that smoke.
That I would have.
120 to 108, Hector Tanahara.
If there's one fight I want when we come back from the virus,
it's Tanahara against anyone that's important, like anyone of relevance.
I would take Ryan Garcia. If Daniel LaRusso takes Tanahara out, I'll be so happy.
If he when he knocks out Tanahara, I'm gonna get on this show. We're gonna do a reaction show.
Yeah, live.
I mean, make Gary be on that motherfucker. Okay,
live fight chat.
You can't pull Rob and like leave when AJ got knocked out. You can't just do that.
I'd already left.
Tanahara's gonna win, so I want to be there because I'm gonna gloat.
I left when Fury got robbed.
I like this question from the chat because we haven't talked about it yet, and I haven't really thought if we needed to talk about it, but since PSK is asking, PSK is a longtime listener. What does everyone, us guys, think of Roy Jones now officially being Eubanks' new trainer?
He's been with him, right, throughout the whole lockdown.
Yeah. I mean, if you follow them on social media, go to their Instagram, and you can see that they've been training together. They've been living together. I like it. I'll be honest. Look, obviously, Chris Eubank has been a really rudimentary boxer puncher for a very long time. And that was something that Roy Jones was the antithesis of. He was the exact opposite of a boxer puncher. And to implement any of that knowledge into Eubank's game should be a net positive. Though Roy Jones does have a history of being a trainer and not necessarily being the most effective trainer or the best trainer, in my opinion, or seeing the biggest results out of his fighters. So I don't expect Eubank to all of a sudden be Roy Jones. I don't expect Eubank to all of a sudden be a champion at middleweight or super middleweight. I don't see that happening. But does he get better from this? He has to, because he's fucking awful.
If Roy Jones can impart 10% of Roy Jones into Eubank,
5%, man.
If he makes him throw straight punches,
oh my god,
and slightly tighter hooks,
and as we think,
no one will match Eubank's work rate. His fucking, I don't know, like sheer tenacity, balls, and whatever. But he can be matched in the skill department, But if he can teach him a bit of that and footwork or whatever, then
any skills, that'd be nice. Because Eubank has been very, very basic for a very, very long time. Like he is a poor man's Daniel Jacobs. And I mean poor man in the most negative connotation possible. Gary, any thoughts about Roy Jones? A guy I know you're a big fan of.
Yeah, Roy Jones Jr. is the GOAT.
He is.
Again, I'm going to say the same thing I said about when Floyd Mayweather said, I want to be a trainer. This is going to be tough, right? The reason why Roy Jones Jr. hasn't had a great level of success as a trainer is because they can't do what he does, right? I mean, if I'm Roy Jones Jr., I can't make you do what I do, which is have insane athleticism, power, and speed and reflexes. Like, I can't teach you that. You don't have that. So I don't know how much more.
Have you been watching
some flair? He can't make you bang worse. I agree with that. So he can only make him better, but I don't know how much better realistically he's going to make him.
Have you been watching any of the training footage?
I've not.
It's actually, to me, it looks like Roy Jones is getting to like real basic training stuff. Like it's not like Roy Jones is out there with noodles trying to make Eubank have like this insane head movement, right? Like you see like a Ben Davison do Tyson Fury. You're not seeing that. You're seeing him put the fucking yarn of string or whatever on the post and do the head drill over and over again. You know, simple stuff.
He's teaching him to walk right now.
He is literally teaching him to fucking walk. I mean, it's, to me, that's a positive because it's Roy Jones doing good training, which is the basics. If a guy doesn't have good technique, it's because his basics have not been drilled properly. So you have to drill that properly.
Which is weird because, like, Chris Eubank's dad was not a good fighter, a great fighter. It's like, do they not have a functioning relationship? I mean, don't you think like his dad would teach him the basics?
Rob, do you want to speak on the Eubank Senior, Eubank Junior relationship? Because I'm not an expert.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's weird. That's why I know.
Like Chris, Junior sit in the corner. Senior's like stood 5 feet away.
Just looking at him. Remember that? Oh my god, I forgot about that. Do you remember that, Gary?
Yeah.
It's like looking at him as if like he's telepathically telling his son what he expects. And
not like that's probably what he was thinking.
But Chris Junior, he kind of was like, whatever, Dad. Like, I'm just gonna go in and try and fight. You know? Yeah, it's a weird relationship. Father son, great. Fighter trainer or cornerman / involved in his career. Nah. It's
because I was at the when I was at the Charlo Hogan fight, he fought Korobov on the undercard
for a round,
and his dad was there. Like he was there, he was doing all his son's paperwork during the weigh-in and stuff. Like it seemed like they had a fine relationship. It's like, but I guess they just keep boxing separate, kind of.
Yeah, I think now they sort of keep the business separate as much as possible, from my understanding, because in the past it hasn't always been the most frictionless relationship, so to speak, as trainer and fighter. That relationship specifically was bad for them, from what I heard.
On another wish list for post-pandemic, I want the Charlo Eubank fight to get made, just so Senior is in the same room as the twins.
Oh, that'd be so good.
Oh, can you imagine the two fucking grumpiest fucking bipolar fucking
and the dude in a monocle
with a guy with like Nazi trousers, a monocle, a fucking sheriff's badge, a cowboy hat, and a fucking cane, singing Kumbaya or dancing to Kumbaya.
The weirdest Mr. Peanut you've ever seen in your life.
And yeah, just winding them. They might explode. They might just. I don't know what. I just want to see it.
I just want to see
even if they miss weight and the fight doesn't happen, I want a press conference. I want it live streamed, and I want to be there. I want to win. I want to film it. Good. Speaking
of the Charlos, though, Erickson Lubin, who's been angling for a big fight, and specifically a title fight again, is not going to get it. Per Mauricio Suleiman. What they wanted to do was a title eliminator with Tony Harrison, obviously with Erickson Lubin. There's been talks about that, but the WBC have said because of Tony Harrison's father passing away due to coronavirus, they are not going to push the issue at this moment and allow Charlo to take a voluntary defense and to wait for the title eliminator. Guys, thoughts on this situation in particular? Because this one does seem like it would take a while to get Harrison back in the mix due to the tragedy that happened in his life. And again, condolences to him and his family and all the loved ones over there. And you have Lubin, who might be sort of out of the mix as a result of that unfortunate event happening, and not get his title shot with Charlo at any point in the near future. So what does Lubin do in this limbo? Guys, thoughts? Gary, Rob, I don't know who wants to jump in.
Lubin should fight Rosario.
Rosario wants Charlo. I think that fight's going to get made soon.
You think that's going to get made?
I legitimately think that fight might get made next for both guys.
Then what about this? Or is this too much of a risk? Lubin versus Laura.
Yes. I want that.
Yeah. But is it worth it if you're Lubin? Is that worth putting your title shot?
Yes.
You know, risking your title shot. Yeah.
Yes, because Laura, like we've talked about this before, Laura's the legacy guy in the division still. So you beat him. That might mean more than beating a Rosario right now, as crazy as that seems. Right? At least maybe historically speaking, it will mean more. Right? Having an Esvalandi Laura win on your box rec is massive. And him having that would mean more than maybe some other legitimate guys in the division right now, or more legitimate than Laura, I should say.
Who would y'all pick in that fight, Lubin or Laura?
Lubin's been really improving. I would pick Lubin.
I'm kind of leaning that way too, right? Like the young guy is gonna
Lara school.
Scott Brown saying Lubin versus Madrimov. Man, Madrimov doesn't want that work.
Yeah, he does. He wants anybody.
Dude, Madrimov needs to fight someone that we know.
You know Lubin, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but Lubin's been fighting people we know.
Well, once or twice.
Once or twice? What are you talking about?
Charlo for 10 seconds, and then who else?
Exactly. Who else?
Who else? Who else is Lubin for? I can't think.
He whooped up Ishe Smith. Whooped him up.
Who else?
And that's when Ishe Smith arguably just beat J-Rock, remember? Come on. Come on.
How many fights has he had?
That's a top 10 name and a top 20 name. Madrimov has 0.
No, but how many fights has Lubin had? What's his record right now? How many has he had?
15-1, 18-1.
18. No,
he might have 20 fights. He might. I mean, 20 wins. I don't think he does though. He might.
So he's around 25, give or take.
Because he was one that. Remember, he took the Lubin. No, I mean, took the Charlo fight. I feel like super early, where he was completely untested.
I was like 15-0. Yeah.
Madrimov is number 2 in the WBA, right? Scott Brown. I know, and that's ridiculous.
Erickson Lubin is 22-1.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
What was his record when he fought Charlo?
What?
What was his record when he fought Charlo? 17-0, 15-0,
18-0, maybe.
He would have been. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fights ago. So 22-1.
17.
Yeah, like 17-0. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, but yeah, apart from Ishe Smith and Joel Charlo, I don't know anyone on this. Really? Oh, Gallimore last time out.
Yeah, Gallimore. But Gallimore's more like a top 30-ish guy, in my opinion, than a top 20-ish name. I might be wrong about that, but he's more of a top 30 name. But even then,
Gallimore beat Rosario.
Yeah, I was going to say Gallimore's got a win over Rosario.
That was when Rosario wasn't Rosario. It's like that. Like Rosario then becoming something doesn't retroactively make that win like Gallimore beating a two unified champion. That doesn't all of a sudden happen. Gallimore didn't beat a unified champion. That guy he beat then became a unified champion later on. It's different.
Yeah.
It does look better. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, beating a guy like Rosario, it looks better now. But it doesn't all of a sudden make him a top 20 name or top 10 name, in my opinion, for Gallimore. I thought both.
Gallimore been a major disappointment because I thought Gallimore was good. He's kind of. I mean, there's not really have a leg to stand on.
He's the Lamont Roach of 154. Let's be honest. But I mean, look, Gallimore's still exponentially better than anyone Madrimov has fought. Like, if Madrimov fought Gallimore, that would be a really good step up, in my opinion.
Oh, I hear you. What's Madrigal had? Like 5 fights, 4 fights, something like
that.
Or 6, maybe. That'll push.
If he had that amount of fights and he wasn't calling out champions and he wasn't ranked number 2 in a sanctioned body, wouldn't be an issue at all. I wouldn't hate on Madrimov, but you have those things happening, and you have fans saying that he's going to beat Rosario, Charlo, Laura, Castano, Harrison, Lubin, anyone that they can name, and that just is that's poppycock. Let's be honest.
She just said poppycock, and I'm the old man of the fucking room. Okay,
that's why I wanted to say it, Rob, so you can understand my language. That's
why you hate Madrimov, because you use words like poppycock.
That's malarkey.
That's malarkey. Thank you. Oh my god. Anyways, what was I on? Here we go. Teofimo Lopez, the future lightweight king, is still out. Obviously, very bored during this quarantine, and talking shit to anyone and everyone. First saying that Tuloma, don't back the fuck out. Everyone wants to see this fight. When I feel like 2 weeks ago he was saying that he doesn't want to fight when there's nobody in the crowd. Just a weird flip-flopping there from Teofimo Lopez. And that Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia, they're all bitches. So, guys, thoughts on Teofimo Lopez obviously being very bored in this quarantine.
He's doing his thing. He's doing his thing.
Stay in the headlines. I appreciate it.
He's out here telling Devin Haney to shut up. All he does is talk on Instagram, Twitter, on social media, and yet he's been doing it all himself. These guys. I mean, I think it's making the lightweight division fun. You got these young guys all talking shit. You got Ryan Garcia even saying, talking to Floyd, telling Floyd Mayweather shit. It's crazy. You got old man Linares in the back telling him all to pipe down and come and fight me. And tell Eddie we'll have the Haney fight. And Eddie's like, we'll make that fight, no problem. Teofimo saying Eddie's full of shit. We've sent an offer, or we've reached out to Eddie, and Eddie's saying it's bullshit. We haven't heard anything. But if you can't make the Loma fight anytime soon, which it doesn't look like you will, when we come back in the US, we can make that fight. Devin Haney, Teofimo. So it's interesting. It's shaping up. I think just let them crack on. I know it annoys some people that are, oh God, this guy, he's so fucking. But guess what? You're going to tune in to watch him lose. Haney overnight in the Mayweather gym, one-on-one training with Floyd Mayweather. Where do you think he's getting all this sort of,
promotional tactics, so to speak?
Yeah, he's picking up. He's watched Mayweather do it and make a whole fucking shit ton of money. I mean, the only difference is Haney going to keep winning? Mayweather kept winning and making people tune in to watch him lose.
Hey, but as we've seen with Broner, doesn't matter if you keep winning.
Well, no, true, but it helps. You make more.
It does help. You do make more. That is true. That is definitely true.
But yeah, I think they're just doing their thing.
Gary, thoughts?
I love it. I mean, we got to entertain us with something. If you can't entertain us with fights, entertain us with trash talk. Lopez is a star. I mean, he's got star written all over him. He's got star ability. He's got star style in the ring. He's got a star personality, and he's got star trash talks. He's the future of boxing. Like, he's going to grow into a full welterweight, and he's going to be that next great welterweight.
I do think we're seeing something potentially very special with this crop of lightweights who are all around the same age, in my opinion, all around the same talent level to some degree, who obviously are going to grow into welterweight in the welterweight division, which is one of the golden divisions, the money divisions. It does feel like we have a special generation here coming up. Like
we have our own four kings, right?
I mean, we talk about it in some fashion. Well, at least we did in some fashion with Thurman, Spence, Sean Porter, Crawford, Danny Garcia. Like, we talked about it then. We did. The difference was that those guys all started in different divisions and they met in one division. It's very, very different. All of these guys, except for maybe Gervonta Davis, you can argue, are all starting in this division. They're all here. They're all around the same age.
Tank's at like 140 waiting.
Tank's gonna fight Keith Thurman at cruiserweight.
But it's just I don't think people are fully aware of the potential here of these guys and the future fights we have, the future legacies we have, the future rivalries we have.
Across
I'm excited.
Divisions.
Across divisions. Like, For example, like Pacquiao Morales was across divisions. That wasn't all in the same division. You could see something similar to that here, where you have certain fights start at 135 and they have a rematch at 140 or 147, a trilogy fight at 147. That is 100% possible. And again, all these guys are going to be fighting for the next 10, 15 years with each other. That's insane. Yeah.
I like I say, I know when I mentioned the Four Kings, people are like, "Whoa, hang on, right?" Like don't bring up history like that and compare it to this generation. But I just mean our version. It could, I think it could be great, like you say. Haney, Lopez, one of them gets the victory, the other one, perhaps moves up. The other one sticks around to defend a bout a few times, maybe vacates. Who's up there waiting? Maybe already picked up a bout while that guy was defending.
Ryan Garcia, you have Javante Davis next, Tanahara.
But Tanahara is not going to move up to welterweight. I mean, Tanahara is staying on lightweight. Maybe Shakur Stevenson can come up and fight Tanahara eventually. But I mean, Tanahara is not. He's not the size of the other guy. He's not Haney size or Teofimo Lopez's size.
Or as skilled.
That too.
He's the most skilled in the bunch. Now, he's not the best athlete in the bunch. He probably doesn't have the highest upside. But just power skills right now, he's got the best skills.
Slowest.
Maybe. I mean, those guys. But look at those guys are lightning fast. All of them.
Yeah.
Speaking of this division, I just want to remind people because Carl Moretti is not. When he wants to talk shit about Devin Haney, 2-time email champ, tweets the same thing twice. Makes sense. Facepalm emoji, dude. He's only the 2-time email champion because your fucking promotion requested that Lomachenko becomes the franchise champion. Get the fuck out of here, man. Like, you actively tried to devalue the sport with that action. You can take your high horse and self-righteousness up your fucking ass, Carl Moretti. I'm sorry. Your smugness. Fuck out of here.
Yeah. You see next Tuesday.
And Carl Moretti is like, look, Top Rank credentials us all the time, so maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but Carl Moretti's a fucking asshole. Okay? And to have like the attitude of like, yo, yeah, we got exactly what we wanted. We got the franchise champion. Coach Rank. Woohoo.
We asked for it.
And then to shit on the guy that's on the come up that just takes your leftovers because you requested that. You didn't want the mandatory. You didn't want to do what any other champion has done in history. You wanted to be a franchise champion so you can avoid tough fights, okay, and crush promotional fights as well. Yeah. Get the fuck out of here, Carl Moretti. Your smugness. Get out of here.
Yeah. I mean, look.
That shit pisses me off. Like, because the hypocrisy of that. And on top of that, for media fucking dipshits like Kenny Keith, by the way, great fucking name, who over at the Boxing Rant, a bunch of neo-Nazi KKK podcast members over there, okay, to rah Carl Moretti when he knows that's bullshit. But he's gonna toe the company in line, keep that access like all of you other sick fucking media people do. Fuck out of here. Shout out to Liam Roscoe with the super chat. Shout out to you.
Shout
out. Guys, any thoughts on that? I just wanted to bring up that.
Yeah, you said it. You said it. You I don't know. Got a little bit of color in your cheeks as you got angry. Good.
I haven't ranted in a while, so
Yeah, no, it's right. All smug about getting franchise champion, but raising the whole issue of if he beats Teofimo, is he undisputed? And he's like, well, yeah, everyone knows who the real WBC champion is. No, everyone doesn't, because apparently Devin Haney's got the WBC belt.
Not even the WBC knows who the fucking real champion is right now.
Well, no. It's just as long as many boxers as possible have got one of their gold belts.
Yes.
It's a joke. So, I feel for Haney in this. I know people are saying, he's out here talking like crazy and like he earned the belt and stuff. He kind of did. He got into the position. He went that route. Don't forget, Teofimo Lopez was supposed to enter the WBC, what was it, like mini tournament? And he said, no, I'm not doing that. And he's gone IBF route and obviously made an impact. That's fine. But he's saying Teofimo could have fought me in the tournament. Loma was there. He didn't want to fight. He then got a franchise. So I feel for him, and he's getting all this email champion constantly.
We talked about this off air, obviously, right? I absolutely feel for Devin Haney. I'll give him a ton of slack for that. I can say in the same breath that he is not a true champion. He has yet to face anyone that's legitimate, and so say he got the raw end of the stick there. Obviously, Let's be fucking honest about it. However, Teofimo Lopez shouldn't get any blame because he went and fought an actual champion.
I wasn't.
No, I know you're not. But for those listening, if you are out there saying that, yeah, how dare all these people avoid him? Well, Teofimo Lopez went and fought Richard Comey. To me, you went and fought the better opponent, so that doesn't really count for like ducking anyone. If we want to talk about Loma devaluing the championship more, then I can have that conversation and rant all day about that because that is indicative of how this industry has moved away from legitimate champions, and that has actually hurt fighters. Look at how it's hurt Devin Haney's sort of leveraging in the division.
Jamal.
The valuing of the championship.
And Jamal.
Jamal, obviously, yeah, same thing.
The
difference with Jamal is that, luckily for him, he's like their that's PBC's middleweight. So they are gonna put that company is gonna push him more than, let's say, a Matchroom or DAZN, who has a lot more options in the lightweight division. And plus, those guys aren't as developed as a Jamal Charlo yet, who was already a unified champion. Division. But moving on, unless you guys have any other thoughts. Gary, any thoughts about Carl Moretti being a smug asshole? No? Okay.
And his brother, I suppose, is the worst judge in the world ever. Dave Moretti has... They were related. Are they brothers? I imagine they're brothers.
Cousins.
Whatever. Because that's not a conflict of interest at all, by the way, to have him judge top-ranked fights. That's not...
I think he's Auntie Jackie's sister's brother's boy.
He's the worst judge ever.
Same person.
The fact that we have those fucking dinners where promoters pay for everything, and you have sanctioning body heads, you have all of the officials there, refs, judges, etc., and everyone's eating the same dinner, and the promoters take the tab, and that happens on every major card you can think of. Every card, guys. There's that dinner that happens before that event. It is fucking sickening. Sickening. And the worst part is that you will see like these promos, even people like Lou DiBella, who I tend to like, he'll post pictures of these dinners. And it's like, hey, I'm with my friends, my buddies. And it's like, dude, these guys shouldn't be your buddies. They're judging and reffing your fights. Like, they shouldn't be your friends. It shouldn't be, eating bread or sharing bread with them. Like, that just shouldn't be happening. Sorry.
It's like these sanctioning body and conventions. You get reporters go there and they say, "Oh, hey, we're with so and so's manager. We're with a certain trainer, and oh, you represent fighters. Did you get what you came for?" And it's like, what does that mean? They lobby.
Yeah, absolutely.
They lobby to get their fight up the rankings and to certain fight and sanction this bout, and we'll do this. It's bizarre. It's very it doesn't help when someone like the WBC does great work in communities, setting up
yes,
all across the world. I was listening the other day. There's a guy over in Poland trying out with the WBC's backing to help the Polish amateur system come through, because it's kind of a mess out there. But he was talking like the goal in a few Olympic cycles time is to have X amount and bring the average age down, all that kind of stuff. So they do great work, but then you hear certain things, and this is where the We Be Crooks acronym or whatever gets used, and it's like you give with this hand, you take, you just be transparent. But this is boxing again. I'm being idealistic.
When certain entities whose inherent role is to police other entities are just seen being friendly with them, then those institutions automatically lose all value, all credibility. It's the same with media and media companies. Like when you see a reporter be chummy with fighters, a la Ellie Setback, and try to be friends with them all the time, to me, that's gross. That's disgusting. If you're a media member, you shouldn't want to be friends with these people that you report on. I'm sorry. I don't want to be friends with you fighters ever. Sorry. I think it makes me do my job worse when I'm friends with you. Just being honest. And
they probably feel the same.
They probably do. They probably do. I'm okay with that though. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. It's going to bias you in a certain way for sure, but it's also going to allow you more access to the fighters, which is going to give you more content, which is what your audience wants, right? I mean, look, you're right. Is the best reporter a non-biased one? Of course, right? But like, you're not with, the New York Times or the LA Times where you get automatic access. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it.
It's because like I'm one of those people like, first off, like a non-biased reporter is a myth. Like that just doesn't exist.
Sure.
Right? Like I'm like you even talk to like if you go to like journalist class, they will teach you that. Like stop thinking that you can become non-biased.
Not biases, sure.
That's not reality. You have to mitigate biases. That's what a lot of journalism is mitigating biases. You can have a friendly repertoire with the fighter. You can have a relationship with the fighter, so to speak, but it still has to be professional. When it becomes friendly, then you don't ask the right questions. Like famed reporters like Howard Cosell, for example, right? He had repertoires with fighters or athletes, right? He had relationships with them, but he was still professional when it came down to the business of reporting.
Yeah, he famously him and Ali had a very up and down relationship, but it worked. It made for good content in a way. But yeah,
you said that you were talking to Rigo and you asked him something. It wasn't like a personal question, which he wouldn't answer. It was a boxing question, and his team was like, "No, that's the end of the interview." Right? I mean, you're gonna. I mean, like,
and look, as a media's, I get your point. Like that's like if you take a very clinical approach to media or journalism or reporting, you're gonna lose out on options or opportunities or interview chances. Like you're just gonna lose those options. You just will, guaranteed. I have. Like I just know it. But that's something that you have to sort of accept. That there are gonna be moments where that happens, and you have to accept that happening. Okay, because otherwise you then devalue your own role here. If my role is to get to the bottom of these questions and find the truth of these questions, and you're not wanting to answer it, my next response should not be to try to appease you and not ask those questions. My job should be to follow up those questions, figure out a different way to ask it to draw the truth out. And a lot of reporters in boxing don't do that. They want to kiss ass. They want these relationships. They want to be friendly with fighters so they can get the access.
Right. That's what it is. Has Ellie set back in a way, and I don't mean to pick on Ellie because he's not the only one, but that's the one we were talking about. Sold his journalistic integrity to a degree for access? Of course he has, right? I mean, of course. But,
time Ellie had a true opinion on a fighter, he got thrown out. He fucked him off out. I'm not talking to you. Get out. But, look. I know people have mixed feelings, but Piers Morgan over here at the moment on Breakfast TV, he's on this campaign at the moment of he's saying it's like day 22 where the government will not send a minister to talk on our breakfast show, which is like getting great ratings and this, that, and the other, because he asked a tough question. He won't take his foot off their throat at the moment. So they're not sending any government ministers onto TV. Now, whether people like what he's doing or don't, that's kind of irrelevant. He's doing his job, whether asking difficult, because we're getting lied to on certain things regarding tests and this, how many we're getting done. And he's not letting his foot off that accelerator. And he's like day 23 where the government refused to send a minister onto Good Morning Britain. And he keeps going, CC Boris Johnson, where are you hiding? And stuff like, he's using his, what has he got, 7.5 million things. But, his tough line of questioning means he can't get the people onto. So, I don't know. It's
what it is. It happens.
Because people are trying to provide numbers for, say, like YouTubers going to boxing events. I don't know. A lot of them aren't gonna, push those buttons too much because they want to get credential to the next fight and get their content for that channel to get views to make money. It's difficult, but it depends where you want to. If you're just someone who wants to put a microphone and listen to the fighter do the generic line, or whether you want to be like I don't know, an in like a journalist with integrity and like you say, trying to get to the truth. But
and look, you don't need to be a journalist to ask good questions. Like, I want to get that out of the way too, because like there's no journalists in this sport that we can probably think of. Like, name like all the biggest reporters. Like,
yeah.
You know, like the Steve Kims, like even like the Lance Pugmires and like the Mike Coppingers of the world. Like, I really wouldn't classify them as journalists. You know, they're reporters, sure, but they're not really journalists, so to speak, in my opinion. They don't really investigate news. They report on news, in my opinion. That's very different. But digressing, I think that you can be a media member and still sort of hold truth to power or power to truth. You know, if you're interviewing Eddie Hearn and he's saying something that you know is not true, you should not, or you should, I should say, follow up on that. Ask a question. You know, counter him on that. Same with anyone, Bob Arum, whoever, and we just don't see that enough. We don't even like the Dana White interview with Lance Pugmire, Mike Coppinger on that podcast episode. That was gross. There was very few follow-up questions, and they were softballs that they did not hammer home. And there was out and out lies that was said on that show that has been reported to be lies, and they didn't follow up on that. You know, it's just sad. And I think that sort of get back to my point. It's sickening when those people decide to just be friends and chummies with everyone else so they can get through and get by in the industry and make money. Because at the end of the day, I'm not necessarily about making money for this. I'm about just doing a good show and providing good content.
Just thinking, Thomas Hauser, you'd consider a boxing journalist?
He might be one. But then again, he was at times paid by networks. So like that's where like
now he's kind of, well, I don't know, maybe he still is paid somewhere, which is kind of got.
I mean, he had a legit job from HBO at one point. So like it's just a little bit different. And then he got, you know, and he left HBO and then he reported on HBO.
He's like a different executive journal, right?
He would probably be the one you may classify as a journalist. Yes, I would accept that. But then again, he's had some bad articles lately. Not the ones we've reported on. There's been other ones that I haven't reported on that have been like weird articles, like more of opinion articles. Have you read them? Like
what do you mean?
There was one about like what was it, like head trauma or something, but it wasn't scientific. It was more like of an opinion piece about.
Yeah, I know the one you mean.
It was like head trauma with like linked to depression. It was weird article. But digressing, guys, we can move on. Jamal Harris. Oh, sorry. What was that, Gary?
Tony Yayo says Steve Kim and Montero are the best journalists.
No, that's the.
I knew that it would trigger you.
Anyway, quickly.
Why? Like, if you want to say like Steve Kim's a journalist, like he works at ESPN. Like, if you want to call him a journalist, like whatever. Michael Montero, really?
I've watched him once. He's a little weird. Like, I've only watched once.
Harry. It's getting late.
Oh, I'm sorry, Robbie. You're right. It's getting late. Let's run through these topics really fast. Jamal Herring versus Jonathan Oquendo clash in talks for July 2nd in Las Vegas. Yay. Rob, any thoughts?
I literally tried to copy and paste using the the StreamYard picture that I'm looking at. I was thinking I could grab that. I can't. Who else is Oquendo for? Why do I know his name?
He's fought everyone. He's lost to everyone. He beat Orlando Cruz and he's lost to everyone else. If you go through his resume,
didn't he fight Robert Easter?
I don't think he's.
Oh, I think of Orlando Cruz. Didn't Orlando Cruz fight Robert Easter? Yeah. I don't remember.
He's been losing to guys for 10 years.
Yeah. Go on BoxRec.
He's 31-6. He's not lost to everyone.
Is that all he's got? 6 losses? I would have for sure thought he had at least 10. Is that all he's got? He's been at whatever. You've seen him before. Like he's
approach, maybe.
Oh yeah.
I forgot about he's not terrible, but I mean
Cuellar, sorry.
Yeah.
Abnomara.
See, Wilfredo Vasquez,
Yeah. And
Juan
scroll.
Manuel Lopez. See, that's 10 years ago. That's 2008. I mean,
Is that like Andrade's brother or something? Oscar Andrade?
No, it's not. It's not. I don't care about this fight at all. I get why it's being made, but yeah, whatever. Guys, thoughts?
Yeah, it's boxing's back. Yeah.
Gary?
it's boxing back, and I've grown to like Herring a lot. Like I've always liked him. Like I've been a fan of him. Like I've always wanted him to do well. But like now I've grown. Like I think he's under like this camp. I think he's turning into a really good fighter. So
he's a little bit underappreciated, that's for sure. Yeah. Speaking of underappreciated, Regis Prograis is calling out Lewis Ritson, and what I can only classify as like bullying. Like this is mean. This is a mean call out. Like Lewis Ritson doesn't want this work. Let's just be honest about it. Or he shouldn't want this work. Maybe he does because he's one of those fighters. That's a little bit crazy in my opinion. But this is a bad fight for Ritson. Maybe a good tune-up fight for Regis Prograis, in all honesty. But guys, thoughts about Prograis calling out Lewis Ritson? I know Rob is a big fan of. So Rob, thoughts? Would you like this fight, Rob?
Am I what?
Would you like that fight?
Not yet. No, I'd like to see Ritson slowly go through, the ranks to see if he can get to a Regis Prograis level. You know me, I like Ritson, but he blistered through the British level, didn't quite cut it at European level. Then had a great fight, don't get me wrong, entertaining guy to fight, but there are levels, and Robbie Davis Jr. isn't a barometer to think, oh yeah, that was a good fight. I won that. Let me try a guy that was in the World Boxing Super Series final and lost a close decision to Josh Taylor.
Lewis Ritson would get destroyed in this fight.
Lewis Ritson, the British Cletus Selden.
Get out.
That's actually probably accurate. That's probably an accurate.
I like Lewis Ritson. I do. I think he's a fun fighter. But this is weird. This is like the head cheerleader, the prettiest girl in school, calling out saying, I want to date some freshman football players. Like this, really? All right. Lewis Ritson?
No, I mean a football player, like the freshman nerd.
Yeah, it's like of all this, all right, whatever.
He must be bored, right? This is one of those Rona call outs, right? Like he must have saw Ritson fight on YouTube the other day and was like, dude, like I could beat up this guy. This would be fun to beat him up in sparring. Hey, I'm on Sky Sports being interviewed on IG or whatever tomorrow. Let me call him out. Let's see if I can make some money off of it. That's what it has to be, in my opinion. Because this fight doesn't make sense other than he wants a nice, easy win in a tune-up, which, I mean, that kind of makes sense, I guess.
Eddie Hearn wanted to make this fight in Newcastle Football Stadium.
What's Eddie Hearn on?
Huh?
Wait, Eddie Hearn wanted to make Regis Prograis versus Lewis Ritson
in the UK in a
is
football.
That the trunks that Ritson always wears? Is that Newcastle's colors?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, Eddie Hearn must have been drinking that time he gave that interview. There's like, why? Why would he want that? That's a mean promoter.
Money.
Is Ritson that big of a draw? Like, is it going to make a ton of money?
I mean, they went crazy for him in Newcastle in an arena. I don't know about. Jesus Christ, what does St. James's Park hold? Let me check.
St. James's Park.
Yeah. How big is what's the attendance at James?
Oh, I mean, what was it called? I don't care for this fight.
52,405. That's just seating. So if they do on the pitch as well, it's like 60. I don't know that he sells 60,000. I mean,
LFC is saying that he
crazy.
LFC in the chat is saying, wasn't it Josh Taylor the fight that Eddie Hearn wanted, not Regis Prograis?
No, he wanted Prograis. I'm sure. Probably wanted both.
Or the winner of. Did he speak about it before the fight happened? Was this like quotes that happened before the fight?
No, I'll look back, but I'm pretty sure he said we can do Prograis. Because I think at the time Ritson went like looked at Eddie like, well, fucking hold up, Eddie. Jesus.
You're selling me out here. Don't whore me out like that. What are you doing?
Just let me see where I get first. But then since then, now I think he's yeah, you could do it. You could do it. And he's like, yeah, I'll take pro. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I don't know. To me, it's like a reverse COVID call out.
I'll say this. If there's any chance that Progress can make a fight with Ritson where they can sell at 50,000 seats, that's not happening anytime soon, obviously, for pandemic reason, you should take that. That's money. And if Eddie Hearn wants to cash out his own fighter, that's Eddie Hearn's problem and Ritson's problem, not Progress's problem at all. Wow, crazy. Moving on, Jesse Madaleno and Jose Pedraza are tapped on to fight on a card in June, as Top Rank is trying to get things back and going in Vegas and have events every weekend and all that fun stuff, or like multiple events a week, whatever they're trying to do. I could really care less. Madaleno's fighting Yenfel Vicente. Pedraza's fighting a guy I've never heard of. I could care less about any of these fights. Let's just be honest about it. Same with like the Shakur Stevenson, Rafael Rivera fight. This is like Top Rank diet on steroids. And last topic of the day, speaking of Top Rank, Andrew Maloney and Jason Maloney are in Las Vegas as they've gotten special exemptions for travel to the United States to be on these cards or a card in July. But most likely they're going to be on the June cards. Guys, any other thoughts on today's show? Any of the topics you guys want to bring up as we wrap up today's fantastic show? Hit the like button, share the show, all that fun stuff, guys.
Yeah, the Maloney's, I guess, hopefully a sign of things to come, that the lockdown, as far as getting some of these fighters over to the US, especially Bob Arum, right? He's everything that was big relies on getting a fighter over to the US or the other way. Herring was supposed to be coming to Belfast for a big stadium fight, etc. So yeah, a lot of these matches, I don't think Top Rank's version of backyard fighting, because Eddie wants to do as many British level 50-50, at least the fights are fun and whatever. Doesn't want to do pay cuts as much, try and do it as best we can, come back with good fights, the days of the tune-up, try and limit those to as least as possible. But yeah, it looks like Top Rank are doing the diet kind of thing. I don't even think Shakur's fight is for the title. I think it's not even a world title fight. So Rivera, even if he wins, he's not the champion. That's what I read. So I don't know if Jamal Herring's bout's on the line or not. But yeah, boxing's back, yay! But let's get fans back so we can make some big fights.
That's 2 years away. Let's be honest.
Not Vegas.
Las Vegas might risk their entire population. That's true. It's the Sin City. Guys, final thoughts. Let's do it. Let's get out. Let's get out of here.
Check bleach. Don't get light inside you. Please don't take malaria or lupus, whatever it is, medication if you haven't got those diseases.
Hey, he didn't say drink bleach or drink Lysol. He said inject Lysol.
Yeah, get it right.
Get it right, guys.
Wow. Yeah. Right. If you want to seek medical advice, be a doctor, not Dr. Evil.
Or like Joe Rogan and his buddies on their podcast. Go to a doctor.
Like a qualified, like
the person that went to school for this shit. For
10 years before getting that actual job. But yeah, I just thought, I know we have American audience, and not that our audience is that stupid. I think we're all good on this side of things, but yeah, just you get the odd one. But hit the thumbs up, share the show, UK Rob, MCR, Instagram and Twitter. Catch you later.
Gary.
It's good to be back. It was a good show today. Find me all from social media, 3D Boxing, 3D Boxing blog. From Texas to the world. Thank you, and God bless.
We're going to be back maybe tomorrow. We do have that late topic that came in, so we're going to talk about that whenever we do. So either tomorrow or Thursday if you want just a lot more topics to come in. So it's not just a one-topic show, but that is definitely a topic or a show-worthy topic of Aram saying Wilder Fury is not going to be in the U.S. We knew that to a degree, but not really surprising. So we'll come back when we can, either tomorrow or the day after, to have another show. Yes, Rob, you want to say something?
It'll be in China. Ask China.
China.
It was
China.
You
sound so angry when you said it.
What was it? The like Oriental girl, like Asian American, asked him. He said, "Don't ask me. Ask China." Oh my god, the guys are just.
Oh, was it when she asked him?
Testing and comparing it and other, like, because he was saying we're the number one in the world. It's like, yeah, but you're also the number one in death. She brought up deaths. What do you have to say about that? He's like, I don't know why you're asking me that. Why don't you ask China? Ask China. The guy's a fucking lunatic, but
yeah. Find me, Matt Hunter, MC on all social media platforms. You guys start here, listen to the show, hit the like button, share the show, all that fun stuff, guys. And have a good day. Excuse me, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Peace.